Hi there, Jeffrey Rhoades from Experimental Homesteader, Exotic Gardening, and SheriAnnRicherson.com. I'm going to take care of the vlog today. We we got a little bit of a late start today. We slept in a little bit, and then we got up and did some running around. So we're finally back home. And I've got several projects that I need to work on. I've got some dishes to do. We have a smell in the refrigerator that I got to track down. And several other things that we're doing tonight. But anyways, what I wanted to talk about today, I didn't talk about it yesterday when I should have. Yesterday was April the 6th, and in 1862, during the American Civil War, this was the Battle of Pittsburgh Landing. That was the Confederate name for it. The Union name was Battle of Shiloh. That's the name that most people understand and know. So this was in the Western campaign. During the Civil War, the Eastern campaign was over along the East Coast. Took place mainly in Virginia, North Carolina, Maryland, Pennsylvania, that area. The Western campaign was anything on the other side of the Appalachian Mountains. So anything that took place in Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana, Mississippi, Alabama, anything in that area, anything over, between the Appalachian Mountains and the Mississippi River. You get across the Mississippi River, and that was the Trans-Mississippi campaign area. When people talk about the West in the Civil War, Western campaigns, they're just talking about battling in between the Appalachian Mountains and the Mississippi River. So, anyways, Shiloh was in Tennessee. Ulysses S. Grant was the commander of the Union forces, and they were basically at Pittsburgh Landing. His forces weren't entrenched. They basically camped for the night, didn't bother to make fortifications like they should have, just simple fortifications, just simple defenses. They were basically just camping out in the open. Confederate forces under Albert Sidney Johnston basically took advantage of this and attacked. And initially they were having great success and routing the Union forces because there were no defenses, basically. Grant arrived on the scene in the afternoon and rallied his forces and battled back and actually wound up winning the battle. During the battle, it was very bloody, but Albert Sidney Johnston was wounded. He was shot basically behind the knee. He initially ignored the wound. His aides asked him what happened. He said, "Oh, it's nothing." A few minutes later, when he passed out and fell out of his saddle, off of his horse, blood was pouring out of his boot, and he died. Basically, the bullet that nicked him actually nicked the artery behind his knee, and he bled to death. But his aides didn't know the severity of the wound until he was already dead, because he had bled to death. The blood was pouring out of his boot, because he had very high boots on, and so they didn't know. And he was actually one of the best field commanders that the Confederacy had at the time. If he had survived, things in the West might have gone a little differently, because he was really good at his job. But his death changed things. But this was, yesterday was actually the Battle of Shiloh. So, and that was, the name was for Shiloh Church. Anyways, I think that's going to do it for today. So.
Hey, did you tell about your new little things you found today?
No.
Well, you should.
One of the things we did while we were out, we stopped at the Marion Public Library book sale, and I picked up some used books, a couple on the Civil War, a couple on World War II. Primarily, I picked up a book called Day of Infamy, which is the story of Pearl Harbor, which was the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, which drew the United States into World War II. Another book is the USS Arizona, which was one of the battleships that was sunk at Pearl Harbor. I also picked up a autobiography of Chuck Yeager. And the Civil War books that I picked up, one is a pictorial history of the Civil War, and the other one is called Battle Cry of Freedom. It's James McPherson. It's one of the really good works on the Civil War, as far as the war in total. There's three authors that I really like for their explanations of the entire war. One is Shelby Foote, another is James McPherson, and the third is Bruce Catton. They basically are the three best that I know of. But I picked up McPherson's Battle Cry of Freedom, really good work. So now I have it in my collection. Yesterday, we got a package in the mail from Amazon, and that was my set of the 3-volume work of Shelby Foote, which is actually, to me, I think is one of the best, most comprehensive coverages of the Civil War. He goes into great detail, covers it from start to finish. So my Civil War collection is slowly growing. I will eventually have most all, if not all, of the books that I had in the past on the Civil War. It's just going to take me some time. So, but anyways, that's going to do it now. So thumbs up, thumbs down, comments below, subscribe. We will see you again tomorrow. Have a great evening.